Welcome to North of the Broad. I'm your host, Karen Wyman, coming to you from Low Country Produce in downtown Buford. We've got a great show for you, so stay tuned for more of North of the Broad. Welcome to North of the Broad. I'm your host, Karen Wyman, coming to you from Low Country Produce in beautiful downtown Buford. I'm joined this afternoon by the Mayor of Buford, Billy Keyserling. Welcome, Billy.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in Buford. One of the things that we talk about a lot is the changing weather and how in the last week we've probably experienced 4 seasons over the course of a 24 or 48 hour period. We're sitting here this afternoon and it's close to 80 degrees. Which brings up one of the things that's been on your plate lately and what's going on here in Buford as it pertains to the changing climate.
Sure. You know, it's not Buford, it's the country. But I really don't want to talk about the controversial things like global warming and carbon emissions. What I want to talk about is the stuff we really see. You know, I live on the Buford River. I live in a tidal creek. And in the last year, at high tide, there's an extra foot of water at my dock. Now, I don't know why that's happening, but it's happening. Now, I'm not saying Chicken Little, the world's falling apart, but I'm saying as the mayor and as a council and as a community as a whole, we need to think about if this does happen, what is it we can do to mitigate it? How do we avoid it? How do we divert it? So while it's not something that is on the agenda for a small city with a tight budget that has lots of projects going on, I assembled a group of scientists and volunteers and environmentalists, and even some who don't agree, to begin to look at hard data. What would happen if the tide rose a foot? What would happen if it rose 2 feet? Where would the hot spots be? Then to meet with the city and with the public works staff and say, are you aware of these hot spots? The other issue that few people want to talk about is the question of offshore oil, seismic blasting to look and see what's there, and if it's there, then drilling oil. Well, you know, to me, the state of South Carolina, Beaufort County, all the counties along the coast has spent hundreds of millions of dollars developing an industry called tourism.
And preserving.
Why in the world would we even think? Why would our governor, why would our senators even think that it makes sense to explore? With the seismic blasting, you hurt the underwater life. With the drilling, there's never going to be enough that we would have the infrastructure, so there are no real jobs associated with it. So I've been part of a group, I started actually, and you know, Beaufort and Port Royal, Sullivan's Island, Folly Beach, not yet Mount Pleasant, but I've been talking to all the coastal mayors, and we're going to put together a package, and hopefully Hilton Head and Bluffton will join us in taking a statement along the South Carolina coast that the golden egg that we've been building is not worth risking, particularly when not even the pro-drilling people will acknowledge that there's very much out there.
Right. Yeah, so why to go to all that expense and disrupt something that's so beautiful?
And risk our livelihood.
Tell me a little bit about, in the time that we have left, some development projects that are going on in Buford.
We have a lot going on in Buford. We made the decision to very methodically over the last 5 years come up with a long-term plan. We can no longer rely on the state for revenues. They keep capping us. They're talking about taking away the business license. So we've got to grow Buford, but we've got to grow Buford in Buford's right way. One of the most exciting projects is the new entrance, the gateway to Buford, which is the Boundary Street redevelopment. We'll have a new entrance, and one that this city certainly deserves.
Certainly showcases the beautiful city that this is.
That's right.
So I also understand that you are working with some young people in our community and recently had an inaugural meeting kicking off some of potentially junior leaders here in Buford.
Yeah, I spoke to 3- and 4-year-olds this morning at the YMCA and the second graders yesterday and Friday in Port Royal. I love kids, and I think kids are our future. When I speak to a young group of students, I try to tell them that a mayor's job is to be a bridge, and they all look at me and say, "What is he talking about?"
We got bridges here.
I said, I'm a bridge between my parents and the wonderful town they left me and the wonderful town I'm going to leave to you. And that someone in this room is going to be the mayor of Beaufort, is going to be on city council, and therefore you need to begin to learn even at an early age. I do plan to hand it over to them. I hand it better than what I received, with them having the goal of making it better than what they received.
Yeah, and I can tell you as a parent of one of those 8th graders who was at that inaugural meeting that she was thrilled to be invited, and she was really excited about what she learned that day and the opportunity to work with other students and see how government works. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for the young people here in our town.
I think it's very, very, very important.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest here on North of the Broad. We'll be right back with our next guest.